we're going to do something a little bit different today, a little hangar flying. But I am going to pull the plane outside for this because it does a lot better when it has visibility to the GPS constellation. Yeah, so, you know, it's funny, when I was getting ready to move into this plane and was doing a lot of research online, which is where I find a lot of the flying YouTubes that I follow, one of the biggest obstacles that I had was really around the G3000 and what the cockpit management was going to be like. Interestingly enough, that's some of the same questions that I get from a lot of you on Microsoft Flight Simulator. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pull the plane outside, and I'm going to go through just pre-flighting and programming the G3000 up to engine start. We'll save that for later. You can see that on our other YouTube, starting and getting ready to take off. But hopefully this will be meaningful to you all. Thanks. All right, so one of the things I was taught when I was working with my mentor pilots was come in, the first thing you do, parking brake on, oxygen on, battery on. And that's when I usually go pre-flight the aircraft. All right, so you get into the aircraft because the battery's been running and you've got the parking brake already set and the oxygen already on. Now, the one thing we look for here is up on the standby instrument, there's a countdown timer. There's a 1-minute countdown timer that comes on. Let me start off by saying, I am not a flight instructor. I do not teach the HondaJet. This is, I am type rated in the aircraft, and I'm just giving information for those of you who are using a flight simulator and have asked a ton of questions, or for those of you who are interested in understanding the G3000 better, like I was. Right, so as you come in, you wait for that. So when you turn the battery on, we're taught to just wait till that timer goes away. And when that timer goes away, then you've got the rightmost soft key that takes you out of the splash screen and takes you into the systems page. So once we're in the systems page, we get the current status, we get on the PFD and the MFD. Now the co-pilot's PFD remains dark because we're not on the ground power. We're just running on battery. And we have 2 batteries in this aircraft. I'm used to spending a lot, being very cautious about a battery. In my prior aircraft, they drained really quickly. Got really good battery systems on the 2 24-volt batteries we have in the HondaJet. Okay, so electronic checklist, and I'm also going to go a little bit over the flow in here of how to program. First thing is battery's already on, the oxygen is in, and it's normal. Here's what else we do. We come over here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the oxygen mask to emergency. That will turn on the overhead speaker. I do a press to test. I hear it over the speaker. I see the light go out. I make sure we're on 100% oxygen. Press to test again. All right, come back here and turn that back to normal. Now, the overhead speaker will still be on, but you want to hear that in there, because when you have the emergency oxygen mask on, you're not going to have your headset on. You're going to be listening on speaker and using the microphone that's built in. I will go turn that speaker off. There we go. Okay, pressurization is normal, and then the pressurization we're looking over here on cabin pressure. Electrical, on and normal. Electrical is on this panel here, batteries on, generators are in the normal position. ELT, normal position. Nose wheel steering, normal position. Landing gear is down. You'll notice that this looks like a wheel. Alternate landing gear release is stowed and the handle is fully in. Parking brake is set. The flaps are up. That looks like a flap. The thrust levers are in cutoff. The speed brake is retracted. Ice protection is normal. And on ice protection, we have down here, we have wing anti-ice is in normal. we have the engine anti-ice is off, and we have the windshield heats are in normal. Tail is down here. Fuel panel is in normal. Fuel panel is right here. Pumps aren't on, crossfeed's not on. Trim panel, check and set. So here's the check that we're going to do on the trim panel. So we have pitch trim is normal, and we have standby pitch trim here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check up here to see if the pitches are in the green, the trims are in the green, and right now our pitch is not. So I'm going to move it till it's in the green. I'm going to put it down. So now you see that it's in the green, rolls in the green, yaws in the green. I'm going to, I exercise the pitch trim on the yoke. I'm now going to go to standby pitch trim, check it up and down. I am seeing pitch move. I try the pitch on the yoke. It's not active. I go back to normal. So that's checks the trims. Windshield heat panel is normal. Pneumatic panel is normal. Cabin inflow and engine bleeds. And I'm having fun with the checklist today. Clear shield panel is dark. All the lights should be dark. Of course, I just get a fuel imbalance light, but all the lights are dark. I'm going to do crossfeed just to get rid of that fuel imbalance for you. I'll go away in just a second. We're sitting on a slight angle right now, so fuel is running to our right side. You should see the clear shield panel should be dark. Standby instrument is checked. Avionics initialization. This is where we go into programming the G3000. Systems test. We hit pre-flight. First thing we're going to get is a fire detection test, right? I see fire, 2, 3, 4, and a chime, that's 5. If the speaker was on, you would hear it say engine fire. Now we're going to go right side. I see fire, fire, and a chime. Now stick shaker. Cycles the stick shaker twice. And then switch illumination. Every light in the cockpit is illuminated. And I check to make sure that those lights come on and that nothing is burnt out. Next, turn that crossfeed off. Okay, this is where we put in our weight and balance information. On the Legacy and the APMG, it's a little bit different. We can't do all the programming of the weight and balance on the G3000 like they can in the Elite, the Elite S, and the soon-to-be released Elite 2. So I look at our payload. I've got one at 200 pounds. Fuel, this is where I can pull the weight of the fuel. I hit fuel on board sync. It tells me there's 1,430 pounds on board. It looks at my takeoff weight based on what I'm planning on burning on my taxi and run-up, and then my landing weight. I'll put in a destination. Let's just say we're going to be flying back to our house in Richmond, KFCI, right? Just to give it that information. Next, Harbor Springs. We'll be taking off on runway 28. I pre-computed our center of gravity at 30.0. I do that on ForeFlight. In the Elite and the Elite S aircraft, you can do it on the G3000. For weather, I hit the load METAR data. It will automatically pull the weather information that's available. So it tells me the winds are 157 at 3, temperature 17, pressure altitude is 2981. At this point, I'm going to go in and set 2981. I'm also going to set it on my standby at 2981. All right, so with those winds, it's pretty light wind, right? But I probably would be taking off on runway 10 today rather than 28. So this is going to give me the information on runway 28, how much takeoff is available, the elevation, the heading, and what's the gradient. My takeoff configuration, I'll be on takeoff and approach flaps. I won't be using the anti-ice on takeoff. So my takeoff data It gives me my V1, which is my decision speed, my go, no-go, my VR at rotate, V2 at climb out, and VE. It tells me to set my pitch trim at 2.0. So now I'm going to set my pitch trim at 2.0, and that's based on the weight of the aircraft. So I've got that set at 2.0. And then I'm going to accept that takeoff data. Right? I can see what my gradient is, how much field length is required. I require 3,963. It tells me I'm going to have a 2-knot tailwind and a left crosswind of 2 knots. And my takeoff pressure, altitude. So I'm going to accept that takeoff data. Now it's saying single source because I don't have the number 2 GDU up and operating, right? So if I did, I would be able to. I would get both. Or if I was on a GPU. So then here, I'm going to accept my initialization, right? So that my initialization is now complete, and that's something I had to get taught by my mentor pilots. So back to the checklist: avionics initialization is complete. My passenger briefing, if I had passengers in the back, I'd explain where the emergency exits are, where the emergency equipment is, seat belts, and how to use the oxygen masks if required. Rudder pedals are adjusted. That was something I learned through the type rating to make sure that my rudder pedals were closer in. I used to push them a little bit further out, but on single engine operations, I like having enough leg to be able to use those single panel. Use the leg needed to keep ourselves in trim. Seats, safety belts, doors are closed. The parking brake is set. CAS messages. We're going to see a few wonky ones today. I've got a pitch trim fault. That'll clear. You also see up here that I've got a right oil quantity low. That tells me I need to add some oil to the number 2 engine. Electrical volts, I've got to have a minimum of 23.5, and I'm showing 24.6 and 24.5. And this is where I get to the engine start. Now, go to you can go to some of our videos and you can see the engine start and the flow that we go through to taxi and takeoff. So hopefully for those of you who want to get to know the G3000 a little bit better, this is helpful. And if you're using Microsoft Flight Simulator, you asked for this. If you have more questions, let me know, and I'm happy to show you what I can. Thanks for watching.